Hey, look at that. It's like 3 years hasn't even passed, huh, buddy? Welcome to Back to School, featuring Scott Reichel. I am Scott Steehn. Mr. Reichel, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, doing pretty well. Long time no see. You look great.
Absolutely. Back at you. You got the little beard thing working there. Are we gonna do that for the entire college football season? Or you
Maybe not the entire season, but we're gonna start off with a look. This is, I think, how you remember me last. So I wanted to make sure that you recognized me. When we came back for the show. So,
absolutely. I didn't know if you were gonna be like Kelsey, where you start with the short hair and the mustache, and then you got long hair and a beard by the end of the season.
is that like you with the Timmy mustache? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. So man, we're going to try to get this done in 60 minutes or less. That's our goal. We're going to talk about conference previews. We're going to break down the Thursday games, or excuse me, the Saturday games this week and the Thursday games next week. And after that, we'll be breaking down the top 25 each and every week. So thanks everybody for showing up. I know we've got a few viewers here, and we're going to have more as we go on throughout the show. I'm counting on it. If you want to talk to us, drop a comment, and we will we'll talk right back at you. We're not even holograms. We're doing this live. We'll do it live. And yeah, you ready to kick it off, buddy?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's we're gonna go in alphabetical order. We're gonna start with the ACC. Yeah, you know me. The ACC's got 17 schools. Who did they add this season?
It's a great question. I have it written down somewhere. I can't say that I have it directly in front of me, but with all the conference alignment, it's pretty tough to keep track of.
Yeah, we'll talk about the conference realignment as we go through these each of these previews. Cal, SMU, and Stanford for the 2025 season. Scott, I'll just kick it off. I'm going to pick Miami here. Oh, by the way, we're going to try to be pretty quick through these previews. We're going to do our pick to win the conference, and then we're going to do one sleeper pick. So, Scott, I'm going to start off and take Miami. They absolutely killed it in the portal. They've got Cam Ward, came from Washington State as a quarterback. That is an instant upgrade at the position. They've got Damian Martinez from the Oregon State. Man, they really raided the Pac-12 here. Fine running back in Damian Martinez. They are not great, Scott. They have never won the ACC. I think this is the year they break through. Who's your favorite in this conference?
Yeah, I took Miami.
Okay.
We're on the same page here. Now, I feel like a lot of people are going to take Florida State or Clemson. Florida State, I just thought they lost too much from last year, mostly only returning 5 starters on offense and defense. Yes, they were active with the portal. I get it. We've had many opinions about Uyunglele over the last couple of years. I'd say most of them have been kind of 50-50. I think Travis is better. We'll go that way. So I think that it's a downgrade at quarterback. They also lost Coleman, their wide receiver. They're just not as good defensively. They lost some key pieces like Verse, etc. I think they'll be fine. They play Clemson at Miami. It's not a great schedule for Florida State, but Clemson, I think, was my runner-up for me, but their schedule is pretty tough at Florida State, at Virginia Tech, Louisville, and NC State. Miami, in addition to addressing the concerns with the actual portal, their overall schedule is not bad. They play Virginia Tech at home, at Louisville, not easy. They play Florida State. No NC State, no Clemson. I like their overall schedule quite a bit. I think Cam Ward's definitely an upgraded quarterback, and I do think that even though I'm not a big crystal ball guy, he has had success winning conferences. Yes, he blew the Georgia Tech game last year, which is one of the funniest losses of all time. But I do think that he can do a good enough job to get the team where it needs to go with this schedule. The schedule matters to me. I went with Miami too. I like the price quite a bit as well. I saw the price being available at about plus 450. Good enough for me. I didn't want Florida State at 3-1.
All right, very good. As far as my sleeper goes, speaking of Virginia Tech, I'm going to take the Hokies in this spot. Mainly because of the quarterback play. I think Drone's one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the country, and he doesn't get a lot of pub. The defense started playing well late in the season, and they don't have to play Florida State and NC State. They've only got 2 ranked teams on the schedule this year. That is the aforementioned Miami and Clemson. So it's going to, obviously for these sleepers to do their thing, we're going to have to a lot of pieces are going to have to fall into place. They're going to have to get some breaks. But if you want a high dollar pick, you want a nice return, Virginia Tech. Scott, who's your sleeper?
Yeah, my sleeper is going to be NC State. Similar logic to you. I just like the overall schedule they have. They play Clemson on the road, not easy. They have beaten Clemson, though, there before. At North Carolina, not sure if North Carolina is going to be good or not. Probably not that great. No Florida State, no Miami, no SMU, no Virginia Tech. It's arguably the easiest schedule in the entire conference. The defense is usually good. The offense can maybe be a question mark, but they went 9-4 last year. I was not an Armstrong guy, and they ended up getting Waters to be their new running back. But I think when you're looking at what they have available to them, they got Grayson McCall, our guy, as the quarterback. So I do like that quite a bit. But I think NC State could be fine. With the schedule they have, it's manageable, and they could sneak into a potential conference title game. So give me NC State at around plus 650.
All right, don't hate that at all. Yeah, Grayson McCall, our guy from Coastal Carolina, another one of these guys, and we're going to run across a couple of them today. Seemed like they've been in the league, like they were about ready to retire from the NFL. They've been around so long, so it will be curious to see what Grayson McCall can do. He was hurt a lot last year, didn't have a great season, so we'll see what he can do this year as he moves up. By the way, Zodwick saying the dream team is back. Said I can't listen till until after my meeting, but wanted to make sure that we got some excitement. Yep. Guys, Zodwick, thanks for watching, man. And it is good to be back. We've been working on putting something together between the two of us ever since we went off the air, and it finally came together this year. So we're excited about that. Scott, let's move on to the Big Ten there up in your alma mater. It's now 18 schools. Scott, who'd they add?
So the Big Ten is definitely something because they got UCLA.
Yeah,
they have USC.
Indeed.
You know, why would you not put those two teams? They fit in geographically with the rest of the conference.
Perfect.
I don't know why they waited so long. I'm trying to think of the other teams that are exactly in there that joined them, but Oregon, of course, joined them.
Yep, one more.
And Washington.
There you go. That's it, buddy.
Okay.
There are now 18 schools in the Big Ten. By the way, the names haven't meant anything for what, 15 years?
Yeah, give or take.
Scott, I'm gonna really go out on a limb here for this one. My pick is going. You know what? Let's alternate back and forth. You go ahead, buddy. Tell me your pick to win this one.
Yeah, we're both taking Ohio State.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't really know what we're really stalling for. Oregon and Ohio State, I just think are a class above everybody else. You can make the argument for Penn State. I'm not an hour guy. It's documented if you follow me on Twitter. I don't think he's very good, so I'm not going to pick Penn State. Plus, Franklin never beats any good teams, so I can't pick Penn State. But Ohio State, every single year they have a stacked roster, and the issue was quarterback because McCord wasn't very good. And they went out and they got your guy as a Kansas State fan. They got Will Howard. Now, I know Howard is a guy that I think we could agree maybe doesn't have the biggest upside, but I think he's a pretty safe floor, and I think that's what they needed. Just find a quarterback that's not going to blow you the game. And the defense should be great. The defensive line's incredible. And I do think that the offense should be good enough. So give me Ohio State. Thought about Oregon. I know Dylan Gabriel with that offense should be dangerous, but I just thought Ohio State was more complete on the defensive side of the ball. So I went with Ohio State.
You're not worried about the fact they got beat in the Cotton Bowl by Missouri?
Not quite, because every time Ohio State plays in a bowl game, they sit about 90% of the roster. No. What was that, like 6-3 in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, game? I think it ended up 14-3. They played absolutely nobody in that game. You know, as a Mizzou fan, I would have loved to seen a full strength game, but you know, Scott, much like bell bottoms and disco, full strength teams for bowl games ain't coming back. So, who you got for a sleeper, buddy?
So my sleeper in this conference, it was tough to really find one. I didn't actually have one, to be fully honest. I tried to dig like a shout out to like Michigan, but no, I couldn't do it. They lost too many guys. I really think it's either Oregon or Ohio State. If anybody else wins the conference, I will be absolutely shocked.
All right. Well,
full cop out.
All right. Well, I played the game correctly. Okay. I'm going to take Iowa, Scott. Iowa.
They're going to punt them to death?
I love that defense, man. I really do. I think they've upgraded the offense just enough to maybe make a run at it. And yeah, those games are no fun to watch. My God, I'd rather cut the grass on a Saturday than watch Iowa play Big Ten football. But yeah, we had to pick somebody or not. But since I thought those were the rules, I picked Iowa. You can get a nice price on them, and good luck. That's all I'll say.
See, the thing is, I thought about Iowa, but the issue was they got rid of divisions. And that was really the only reason why Iowa was even in these games. So that's why I kind of had to go for the cream rising to the top here. There are two teams we can agree on with Oregon and Ohio State that, in my opinion, are clearly above the other teams. You could argue Michigan, losing Harbaugh is a big deal. They lost a lot of the offense. It's just not the same team. So I went pure chalk here, Ohio State, Oregon.
I don't hate that. And, you know, there could be some surprises somewhere. And, you know, if you can figure those out, then God bless you, because to me it looks like a two-team race to me. Let's move on to the Big 12. Speaking of K-State and their quarterbacks, and by the way, K-State not afraid to get rid of Howard, because they've got Avery Johnson, a guy I predict you will be hearing a lot about this season. He is a true dual threat, maybe a top 5 dual threat quarterback in the country. So we'll see.
He also used to coach my favorite basketball team, Brooklyn Nets.
That's
used to be a Nets coach for a bit, but
by the way, not the same guy.
Not the same guy. No, separated by a couple of years, but.
All right, so Scott, now's the tricky one. Big 12 now has 16 teams. They added 4. Who did they add?
So the Big 12, trying to remember. I hate realignment. It is so frustrating. I gotta try to remember, because they ended up stealing a bunch of teams from, I believe it was the AAC.
Nope.
I think.
Nope.
No, sorry, no, it wasn't.
That was the year before, buddy.
That was the year before. Damn
yeah.
it. Okay.
Three Pac-12s and
sorry, 3 Pac. Okay. Once again, I have it written down. I know that they ended up getting
4 Pac-12s.
They got Arizona and Arizona State, that I remember.
Yep.
I don't remember if UCF joined this year or the year prior.
Year before.
Of course, it was the year before.
They're all Pac-12.
Houston won the conference last year. They moved.
Yep.
Or actually, no, they didn't win the conference. You know what I mean?
The year before, yes.
And
I'm just going to take
BYU, or was that the year prior? I don't. I keep losing track of the year prior.
Colorado and Utah, buddy.
Sorry. Okay.
Colorado and
Utah. Yeah, Utah should have known, because I'm picking them to win the conference. But still, yeah, that's going to be the spoiler. I'm going with Utah to win the conference. I forgot they joined the conference, and I'm picking them to win the conference. But they got Rising back, who's once again in college for about the 40th straight year. He's finally healthy again after missing all of last year, and we know how good he can be. The last active season he played, he had 32 touchdowns, 8 picks. Utah, though, is a plus 320. They're the favorites, and I understand it. Whittingham's a great coach. I recognize that they are getting 9 starters back on defense. The schedule can be fine. At Oklahoma State, they play Iowa State at home and UCF at home. No Kansas State, though. No Kansas, no Texas Tech. So pretty manageable schedule for Utah. Give me the Utes to get the job done at plus 320. I don't mind Kansas State. I think Avery Johnson's going to be good. I just think Utah's a bit more solid. And if that was the matchup in the title game, it wouldn't shock me. I'm not picking Oklahoma State. I just don't think that they are good enough, in my opinion. And I'm not a fan of Bowman at all. So I think quarterback play is going to sabotage them. I will go with Utah at about plus 320.
All right. Yep. We're on the same page there. By the way, we have not compared notes at all. The only thing
not at all.
The only thing we confabbed about was bet the farm. That's the only thing we've talked about. Everything else, we're hearing each other's picks for the first time. Yeah, it's another team that's led by their defense. This fantastic Utah unit, and they do have Rising back. They're also getting Brent Kuthi back after missing all of 2023 all Pac-12 tight end. So that's only going to help that offense. As far as my sleeper goes, who's up? Are you up for sleeper?
Yeah, my sleeper. I actually picked one. I played the game for this one. I took Iowa State at 10-1. Now, do I think they're going to get there? No, but I think that if you're looking at their overall roster, and the team's underrated. They returned 10 starters on offense, 9 on defense. They do get a lot of experience back. They got Beck, the quarterback, who was pretty decent last year, 26 touchdowns, 8 picks. The issue was they couldn't run the ball at all. That was kind of the main problem with this team. I think if they end up going back to their roots, maybe they can get some balance back. But the receivers are back. They return all 5 offensive linemen. So I think all 5 starters. So I think the offensive line should actually be pretty good. Defense should be good by experience. It's usually a good team. Their schedule, I will admit, is pretty difficult. And that's kind of the scary part here. At West Virginia, they play UCF at home, Texas Tech, at Kansas, at Utah, Kansas State at home. It's not easy. But if you're going for a long shot, I'll go with the experience roster. Iowa State at 10-1.
Is Farmageddon a home team, or is it neutral? Is it going to be played at Arrowhead again?
I'm trying to actually remember where that was. I don't have that in front of me. Sorry.
I got the K-State schedule up right here. Let me see where that is.
I'm pretty sure that's a home game, because I think it does
say at. There is no asterisk. So yeah,
I was going to say I would have definitely marked that if it was. So no, that's a home game.
Must not have been able to arrange it with the Chiefs schedule. So yeah, that's a Farmageddon, buddy. You knew that, right?
Yeah, that I knew. But I think I would have had it written down if it was a neutral. So no, that's going to be at Iowa State.
Okay. My sleeper, it's going to be Kansas, and you know how much it pains me to do that as a Mizzou and K-State fan.
Well, if Daniel stays healthy,
that's really what it comes down to. I wrote a paragraph, and it really comes down to that one thing: if Jalen Daniels can stay on the field, they've got a good offense. They've upgraded on defense. They've got a couple of new guys coming in with Deshaun Warner and Brinkley. So we'll see. They're gonna get a lot of playing time. They don't have a lot of depth. So this is a Kansas team that's going to be all about staying healthy. If they can't stay healthy, it's over. Especially Daniels and the defensive positions there as well. So, fun fact: KU is remodeling their stadium. They're going to be playing all of their home games in Kansas City on the Sporting Kansas City in the Sporting Kansas City Stadium at Children's Mercy Park. So, good times. Seats about 20,000. So.
Okay.
We'll see what happens there, but it could be a fun. Scott, I might even go see a KU game. I wouldn't drive all the way to
They're a
Lawrence.
fun team to watch. They don't play much defense, and they score a bunch of points. So that sounds like a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. They have to upgrade. Have to grade that offense for sure. All right, let's move on, buddy. Where are we headed here? We are headed to the Pac-12. Oh, this is going to be a quick one. I didn't even do a preview. For those of you that don't know, if you've been living under a college football rock, or maybe have a I don't know, what do you call it, a life. You may not know that the Pac-12 is done. Basically, it is now down to Oregon State and Washington State.
We got 2 teams.
It's the Pac-2. It's the Pac-2. They're playing kind of a weird hybrid schedule. They're playing 8 games against the Mountain West. So I guess they couldn't.
It's a tryout. It's a tryout for the Mountain West.
I guess they couldn't take the full demotion. Just their ego couldn't take that. But yeah, lots of luck to those. By the way, I wanted to comment. Bronco Devil said that our time here of 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central really cuts into his busy schedule of doing nothing all day. So,
okay, welcome to the club.
Fair enough. SEC, Scott, they've gone from 14 to 16 teams. Who did they add?
Wait, so are we talking about the Pac-2 or we're skipping it?
No, we're skipping it. We got nothing there.
Okay, I was just asking because you are the one who brought up the actual conference. I thought we were.
No, I just wanted to talk about them playing the Mountain West. I just wanted to slide that in there.
All right, so trying to remember who they added. They added Oklahoma, that I know.
Yep.
And they added, who else did they add? I got one added too.
Texas,
sorry.
Texas. Oklahoma didn't go anywhere without Texas, buddy.
That's true.
I've got the pick. Again, I feel like this is the Ohio State pick. I'm taking Georgia, Scott. Really stepping out here.
Okay.
It's hard to believe as good as Georgia was last year, but I don't think Carson Beck got enough credit from what he did. 39-41 passing yards. That's 3rd in the country. And they've got an absolute stud farm on the offensive line. Plus, they've added Travis Etienne after rushing for more than 700 yards against Florida. He's going to be a dog now. So
I think you mean Trevor Etienne, but still.
Oh, what did I say? Travis? Yeah, Travis. Sorry, Travis. My bad. Absolutely. Travis would be quite a get. That would be a. But he's also a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield. So you give Beck another weapon. Georgia defense. I don't know that we even need to say anything. They're just absolute studs every year, year in, year out. They do have the toughest schedule probably of some of the contenders. They got road games at Bama, Texas, and Ole Miss. So they're going to be tested, but I think they answer the bell. I got Georgia. Who you got?
So just to be clear, I can't believe you ended up going chalk here because I went chalk. I got Georgia at plus 190 in this conference as well. Tough to go against Georgia for me. I just had too many question marks surrounding the other teams. Texas plus 350, I get it, but I really wasn't that impressed with a couple of position groups on offense. The receivers are kind of unproven, with, of course, them losing their main guy to your team in the NFL. So we're going to see how Worthy does with Mahomes. But Texas did lose some weapons on offense. I feel like the entire running back room got injured, and they're going to be missing a bunch of guys. Baxter got hurt. The other running back got hurt. They got some problems. So I do think that the quarterback play from Ewer should be fine if he stays healthy. They only returned 5 starters on defense. Their schedule's fine, but Texas' first season in the SEC, I just thought that it's going to be, I don't want to say a learning curve, but I can see them struggling a bit in that tough conference. So I went with Georgia. We know the team's stacked. You can say that they have a lot of dogs on the roster. See what I did there?
Fair.
Point is, though, I think Georgia's going to be good. A reminder, they should be motivated because even though they were a solid team last year, they didn't make the playoff and they didn't win the conference. So, and you could argue that they didn't make the conference. They didn't make the playoff because they lost the title game to Bama. Point is, though, I think they'll be motivated. A lot of guys on the roster who played last year who didn't actually win a title, and I think they're going to be motivated to do so. But Georgia, we know, is the class of the conference. Bama, I can't pick without Saban. No offense to DeBoer. I think he's a good coach, but without Saban, it's just not the same. So I'll go with Georgia here at plus 190.
All right. For my sleeper, this may stun you, Scott. I'm going to play Homer here. I'm gonna take my Missouri Tigers.
Okay.
At least I didn't take K-State and Mizzou as my sleepers, but the Tigers had a great year last year. Went 11-2 under Drinkwitz, and as we talked about before, they beat Ohio State 14-3. Just dominated that game.
Yeah.
In the Cotton Bowl. They've got one of the most dynamic quarterback wide receiver combos in the nation coming back. Brady Cook and Biletnikoff Award favorite right now is Luther Burden III. I don't think they're going to slip much on the offensive side of the ball. And again, a lot of this stuff we look at schedule. They do have to play Alabama and A&M on the road and a home contest against Auburn and Oklahoma, but they don't have Georgia, Texas, LSU, Tennessee, or Ole Miss during the regular season. They had to replace Blake Baker as DC, brought in USA, South Alabama, DC, Corey Batoon. I think that'll be fine. Yeah, I'll take Mizzou in this spot. We'll see what's shock the world, guys. Let's go Tigers.
Yeah, I thought about Missouri too. I just had some questions about the offensive line, which I think can be a potential issue. They also lost Schrader, who was a big piece of that offense. They got Noel from App State to be their replacement running back. Felt like Schrader, though, was like the heart and soul of that team, in my opinion, at least based on what they did offensively. So I am wondering if there's going to be a bit of a work in progress early on, trying to actually replace him. Noel's fine. He's just not Schrader, as far as I'm concerned. So
Right.
I like Cook, though. I think he should be good. And I think Drinkwitz was on the hot seat. Remember that about a year or two ago? That was a fun time. And then they won a bunch of games. So
good times. And
yeah,
I was going to say, they actually talked about it early in the season last year as well before they really heated up. They got that I think 61-yard field goal by the thicker kicker there to beat K-State at the buzzer, and that really seemed to kind of light a fire under their season. So
yeah. But I had decided not to go with Missouri. They are only returning 5 starters in defense. That is a question mark for them, so we'll see how they do. But I went with a team that also has defensive question marks because they always do. I took Ole Miss at about 8-1.
Somebody had to.
They brought a bunch of guys back, and their schedule is manageable. So just to be clear, they returned 10 starters on offense and 10 on defense. They did lose Judkins, who went to Ohio State for some reason to be in a committee. I don't know why he decided to do that. Dart's back, though, who was a Heisman candidate. Am I picking him to win the Heisman? No, but he's still solid. They bring back 4 offensive linemen who started last year. Defense is always going to be a question mark, but they went 11-2 last year at LSU, play Oklahoma and Georgia at home. No Bama, no Tennessee, no Missouri, no Texas A&M. Pretty favorable schedule there. Probably the most favorable schedule on the actual board for all SEC teams. But I think Kiffin did a good job with this team last year. A lot of experience. If the defense is not totally atrocious, they should be hovering around 10 wins. That might be enough. So give me Ole Miss to be a sleeper here at 8-1.
Okay. Only thing I don't like about Jackson Dart, Scott, you know what it is?
How
he spells his name.
Oh, with the X?
With the X. What are we doing?
Yeah,
folks?
That's fair.
All right. Getting lots of good comments here in the comment section. Thanks very much for dropping those in. Ziwa Carter's here. And Bronco Devil checking in, of course. Bronco Devil says major improvement in my background. Yes. I'm now shooting in my living room.
I love what you did with the place.
Yeah, thanks very much, man. Yeah, you should hear me Friday nights. We get together and play the piano over there.
Yeah.
We do a little family sing along, so that's great. All right, so let's move on to the what do we call them? The lesser conferences, Scott. The group of five. The group of five. The group of five, and they've expanded as well. It's just a churn. They lose teams to the major conferences. They bring up FCS teams. The AAC remains at 14 teams. I'm not even going to quiz you. They added Army, but they lost SMU. Now this is a conference, Scott, that's kind of weird because they have snagged 7 of the last 9 New Year's 6 bowl spots. But I don't think I'd have to go back and look. I don't think any of those teams are in the conference anymore. You had Houston, you had UCF, you had Cincinnati. By the way, the only group of 5 teams to make the playoffs is Cincinnati. And none of those teams are there anymore. So it's your turn. Who you got for your pick here?
So for this one, I actually thought it was a tough conference to pick. I didn't take Memphis. Memphis was the favorite. I didn't take Tulane. Thought they had too many overall changes.
I don't like the way this is going.
I took UTSA at 5-1. I kind of had to. Trailers back. Yes, Frank Harris finally left college after 45 years. I don't know if Owen McCown's going to be good or not, but
you know what? I looked up Frank Harris. I think he could have had another year.
He might have. But
he could have come back.
Guy was around for a really, really long time. But they bring back 7 starters on offense and defense, including their top 3 running backs and their top 3 tacklers. The schedule's fine. At East Carolina might be tricky. Play Memphis at home, at Army. No Tulane, no USF. But yeah, Memphis, I just don't trust their defense ever, and I feel like they're always going to choke. And Memphis has games at USF, at UTSA, and at Tulane. Really tough schedule. I really didn't want to bother with Memphis. And I do like Hennigan. I just had 4 shots of Hennigan's and I don't smell. But I don't think that, Memphis is a team I really wanted to back. In Tulane, they switched coaches. I do like Troy's head coach, so I do like who they brought in. But Fritz did a great job with that team. And Pratt not being there is a big deal, too. I think Ty Thompson could be okay. He was a backup at Oregon, so we'll see who ends up getting officially the starting job. But I took UTSA. They're pretty proven. They have a phenomenal home field advantage, and that might be good enough for me. I took UTSA, and I'm guessing you did too.
Yep, I absolutely did. They bring back 11 defenders that saw at least 245 snaps last year. Plus, they're bringing in linebackers from Alabama. Two linebackers from Alabama and 1 corner from LSU. So they have definitely addressed their defense, and they've got, like I said, an experienced unit coming back. All the good things you said about the offense are absolutely true. They're also getting to Corian Clark back, who started in 2022 but missed all of last season. So they are going to get a little more help there on the offensive side of the ball. What do you got for a sleeper here?
So my sleeper might actually shock you. It's going to be USF. I actually thought they were decent last year. Just going through, I know you have the same team, but just in general, they went 7-6 last year, which for USF standards is actually shocking. They were over 500 for the first time since 2018. They returned 10 starters on offense and 8 on defense, and they got Brown back as their leading passer. Number 1 running back came back. They got 7 of their top 8 receivers. 7 of 8, I know, is a stretch. You know what I mean? But they brought a lot of the pass catchers back. 4 of the top 5 tacklers. Decent schedule at Tulane, play Memphis at home, and they have no UTSA on the schedule. USF, really not that bad. Let's put it that way. So I think that it's a pretty manageable spot for them, and I like the price. So give me USF at around 8-1, and I know that you agree. So tell me what points I missed.
No, none. The only point that I would make is a good over team.
Yeah.
They run a lot of tempo. They got a good offense. And the defense, although they should be better, let's be generous and call them still a work in progress. So definitely keep your overs.
But they got everybody back from that bad defense.
That's you and I have talked about that before. When they're bringing back all 11 starters. Yeah, but you were 129th in defense. Is that a good thing?
Yeah. I mean, that's a joke. That's a joke from Jimmy V when he took over for Bucknell, and they went I don't know, 3, they went 3-20 something the year prior, and they're like, how do you feel? You're like, yeah, we feel good. Yeah, but you lost. You had this record. It's like, yeah, but we got everybody back from that team. It's like, yeah, experience is supposed to matter, but who knows? Maybe they'll figure something out.
I understand the Washington Generals have very little turnover as well.
Yeah.
And, how that goes. All right, so now let's move on to a CUSA, Conference USA. They are now at 10 teams, Scott. Oh, this is bonus question. This is bonus territory here. Who did they add?
Oh boy, I have it. I have it written down somewhere. I'm trying to remember because I like Liberty to win the conference. So it's just all right.
It's a school in Georgia.
Just Georgia State,
Kennesaw State.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. Sorry. I'm not picking them to win the conference, so I just,
And next year they're bringing in Delaware and Missouri State, so it just gets better and better.
Welcome to the FBS. Nice to see you, Kennesaw. Yeah, I think for this one, I really didn't spend any time. I took the -190 favorite. I took Liberty. They might run the table, and them to make the playoffs is 4-1. If they go undefeated, of course the committee's going to throw one Cinderella team in that's going to get curb stomped in the first playoff game. It just is what it is. Everyone asked for the expansion because you wanted some of these group of 5 schools to get in. Liberty's probably that team because they went undefeated last year. I don't really see that changing. Or they went undefeated with the exception of the bowl game where Oregon killed them. But I do think Liberty's too good. They got everybody back. I kind of figured that after going undefeated, they would transfer to good schools.
Right.
But they all stayed.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. But I think they go undefeated again. So give me Liberty again. You?
Yeah. I got the same.
The conference is really not good. They're better than every other team by a wide margin, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and Salter's the real deal too.
Yeah, I can't believe he stayed at Liberty. He could have gone to any other school.
They love the Lord, Scott. They love.
Yeah, they do.
The Liberty.
Shout out to Hugh Freeze.
Who you got for a sleeper here?
Yeah, I took Liberty. To make the playoff is my sleeper at 4-1.
All right. I took Western Kentucky. And just I brought him in. They brought
Okay.
they brought Helton. They brought Helton from Houston Christian, and we've talked to them. That Houston Christian offense was an absolute beast.
Yep.
And you saw some Houston Christian guys come in and dominate, and namely Bailey Zappi, who was very, very good for us as well. And so they brought it's turnover time now. They got Will Friend coming over as the primary OC. They've got a Texas State transfer quarterback in TJ Finley or Beltcamp or Helton. So we'll see what happens. It's all going to be that wide open offense that Western Kentucky runs. They don't run the football very well. And they've got the line's bringing back 3 starters. They've got 2 Sun Belt imports. Should be good. Defense should be better. Again, this is Liberty's conference to lose, but if somebody steps up, I think it may be Western Kentucky. Moving on to the Mac attack, buddy. Mac has no changes. Congratulations, no changes. Same teams. So there you go. Who did you pick for your favorite here?
So for this one, I actually kind of went with the longer shot as my pick. I actually didn't take a favorite. I think Bowling Green, 7-1. We know this conference is usually an absolute crapshoot. It's the Horizon League of college football. So expect the unexpected when these teams get together. Miami's favored. I understand it. I'm going to throw it out there. Do you know the last time a team won back-to-back MAC titles?
1992.
I like the guess, 2011, 2012.
Okay.
So it's been 10-plus years. Now, Miami, we saw last year, got the job done even though Gabbard died again. So he's back in college. We'll see if he stays healthy or not. Point is, though, Miami I didn't exactly take. They're fine. I got nothing against them. And mostly just goes back to the trend. I didn't want to lay the price with about plus 250 when, once again, something has not happened in about 12, 13 years. Decided not to do that. I actually like Bowling Green. Toledo I skipped. They just are missing too many guys. Finn left. They only got 4 starters back on offense and defense. Too much turnover for me. I skipped Toledo. Bowling Green I thought was good last year. Went 7-6, first time over 500 since 2015. 8 starters back on offense and defense. Then you got Basilick, your favorite quarterback, back behind center. But I do think that they have a lot of talent offensively. Defensively, they can be a little bit underwhelming, but they play Northern Illinois at home, at Toledo, Western Michigan, and Miami, Ohio. A lot of home games against some of the good teams there. So give me Bowling Green. I think 7-1 is a good price. We know the conference is always a case of expect the unexpected, be willing to take some risks. I think Bowling Green checks a lot of boxes in this conference. Give me Bowling Green. Give me the Falcons.
I don't hate that. I took Miami of Ohio.
They were my runner-up choice.
As my actual pick. It's mainly because of the defense. This is just an absolute studly defensive unit that just stifled opponents last year. Held them to in MAC play 11.1 points per game, 4.4 yards per snap. That is elite right there. You mentioned it. Brett Gabbert is back for his 17th season. I'm not sure.
If you add up all the seasons and games played, he's played about 2 seasons, but he's been there for about 8. So you can do the math.
I think he's about 2 years younger than his brother Blaine Gabbert. He's been in the NFL about 10 years.
Do you think they named like a wing after him in the hospital? Like, does he have his own designated room?
The Gabbert wing.
Yeah, the Gabbert wing.
He got good insurance. That's what I'll say. All right, so if you took Bowling Green as your pick, who's your sleeper?
That was my sleeper. I had Bowling Green. I decided to just use the same team for both. Miami would have been my favorite pick if I had to just go with the lowest odds possible. I don't understand the Toledo odds at all. Toledo lost almost everybody. Like, I don't know why they are, I guess based on reputation, but I don't think that they are going to be that good this year. They're still probably winning like 8 games because they're Toledo, 7-8 games. But I think that Bowling Green's a better team on paper than Toledo. So I ended up going Bowling Green. Miami, I thought about. I still like them as a roster. If Gabbert gets hurt, they got problems. And I think that Gabbert, I don't know if he's going to stay healthy or not. I kind of treated him like Daniels from Kansas, where if they stay healthy, I like their chances. If he doesn't, I'm not sure if I like their chances. So give me Bowling Green.
Yeah, that's fair. And I took Bowling Green as my sleeper. So we're kind of along the same lines. Bazelak's back. They've got 2 fine running backs in Stewart and Patterson, and I think they're going to have they returned 4 of their 5 starting O linemen. I think this is going to be a good team, Scott. I wouldn't be surprised a bit to see Bowling Green win this one. So we'll see what happens. And how are we doing on time? Okay, we're trying to do this in 30 minutes. We're just about there. We've got the
I think we've done a good job, actually.
We're
At
all right.
least compared to our usual selves.
I was going to say,
We've done a good job.
for normally where we set the bar, yeah, we're outstanding today. Mountain West, 12 teams, but they're going to play 15 combined games against Oregon State and Washington State, 7 against the Beavers, 8 against the Cougars. So, Scott, it's me. Boise State. I know it's pretty chalky here as well. That was a team that really impressed me after they fired Avalos in mid-November, and Spencer Danielson really stepped up. They won 3 straight. They picked up a easy win over UNLV in the championship game, and not surprisingly, they gave him the full-time job. They're a good offense, Scott, and that's 19. They had Ashton Genty's back, and he produced 1,916 yards from scrimmage, 19 touchdowns. He had a lot of opportunities to get out of there. He did not. The line is going to be even better, and I think this is going to be a very solid Boise State team that should be able to win games from the beginning of the season, not just the middle of the season. This year, they do have some there's some issues on defense, but they did bring in a lot of help through the transfer portal, including Jeremiah Irby from Cal and Devon Banks from Washington. And I think they're going to be favored in just about every game they play, except the one when they go to Oregon. Wouldn't be surprised to see them run the table in conference play. Although there's usually that one that just jumps up and bites you for no apparent reason. But I'm chalky here. I'll take Boise State.
So we talked about Liberty before with that conference and how it's a pretty weak conference in general. There's clearly one team above everybody else. Is the Mountain West like the second worst conference?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I don't think any of the other teams are actually that good. The argument would be, of course, just based on the past, that Fresno State's always in the running. But I don't know if that's going to actually matter too much. Boise State's my pick. Now, there was a bit of a shock, though, for the last week, which was them bringing in Green. They ended up losing Green, and they ended up bringing in Nelson, who was supposed to be the top-tier prospect they ended up getting as a transfer. And they announced Maddox as the starting quarterback, which I feel like shocked some people because Maddox was fine, but they brought in Green. Kind of everyone thought he'd just be the de facto quarterback.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? Are you concerned at all, or do you think that you're just looking at Maddox being a game manager and that's good enough with this roster?
I don't love quarterback controversy once we turn to the fall. So I do worry about that. I'm hoping that they're seeing things that we're not seeing, that they've got a rationale behind the decision. Trust the process, and we'll see what happens. So
I still think this team is clearly head and shoulders above every other team in the conference. So Boise's my pick. I like -110.
You got a sleeper at all? Oh, I guess it's me, isn't it? I've got UNLV, Scott.
Okay.
I'm a big Barry Odom fan in this spot, ex-Mizzou coach. They did, of course, lose their quarterback to USC, but we'll see what happens.
I like Saluka, though. He was good at Holy Cross.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're bringing in Saluka from HC, and they've still got Ricky White the third, one of the best receivers in the country, and they've got Jacob DeJesus, a fantastic slot receiver. And it's again with so many of these teams that we're going to talk about, they've got defensive questions, and we'll see what happens. But if the Rebels can just slow down their opponents, they're going to win a lot of games with that offense.
Yeah, my sleeper was the second favorite. I took Fresno State at +550. Now, I think that Boise's going to win. I have money on Boise to win the conference. But Tedford's back after taking a leave of absence last year. We know he's won this conference before. Solid coach in general. They have probably the best quarterback in the conference with Mikey Keene. So if you want to give me a sleeper, give me the best arm in the backfield. So I'll go with Keene to be my choice if he stays healthy. I don't think Fresno's going to win the conference, but with Keene, you got a shot. So they're my sleeper. Boise really should run away with this thing.
Okay. And let's finish it up with our conference previews and talk about the Fun Belt, Scott, where we're and we always have a special affection for the MAC and the Sun Belt because we get those midweek games starting in October or starting like at the end of October, and it's glorious. It's the Tuesday, Wednesday night football. Just put it all on my belly. So who do you like here?
So App State's the favorite. I did not take them. I took Texas State at 4-1. I just like this team. They were very good last year. Went 8-5. They beat Baylor and Baylor. I know Baylor didn't turn out to be good, but still a nice win in Waco. First winning season since 2014. They lost Finley. They brought in McLeod, who was really, really good with James Madison. I don't really know how they pulled that off. 43 touchdowns, 10 picks last year.
Yeah.
9 starters back on offense and defense. Did lose 4 of their top 6 tacklers, and they lost their DC, so defense could be a concern. But I do like the offense. Their schedule is pretty good, though. At Troy, and you're looking with a new coach, and you're looking at Louisiana. No Coastal, no App State, no James Madison, no Marshall. So I do love their schedule. 4-1's a good deal. I really like how this team looked last year, and they somehow improved the quarterback. So give me the Texas State Bobcats to get the job done at about 4-1.
Okay. I went ahead and went chalk on this, and I did take App State. I just think they have the superior offense, and that was another team that kind of ran in place for the first half of the season until they finally put it together and were able to finish strong. They got Aguilar back at quarterback, and I like their receiving core with led by Caden Robinson. He's an absolute stud. They've got Kenya Roberts back 100 yards in 3 games. So this is a team that does enough on offense, and unlike a lot of teams we talk about, absolute studs on defense. I think they're going to be much better. They slipped a little bit last year, but I think that's just a temporary thing, and they're bringing in some help from outside, and I think App State gets it done. Who you got a sleeper here, bud?
It was tough to find a real sleeper because I think that it's either going to be App State, Texas State, or potentially Marshall to win the conference if I had to pick. But I ended up going with Louisiana at 7-1. I don't like their coach at all, which is kind of the problem. I don't think their coach is very good, and he's kind of been underwhelming the last couple of years. But they got Fields back at quarterback. They brought back a decent amount of the overall roster. The defense is always good for Louisiana. Their schedule is fine. They play App State at home, so maybe they can win that one. At Coastal, no McCall. You're looking at Texas State on the road. However, they are 11-0 lifetime against Texas State. Now, Texas State was a punching bag in this conference for a while, but 11-0 lifetime, and they play Arkansas State at home. So, decent amount of home games in conference play, which I don't mind. I gave them out at 7-1 as my dog. Am I picking them? Probably not. I don't like their coach, but their defense always gives them a chance to win in this conference, so they're my sleeper.
Okay, very good. I'm going to go with Arkansas State, Scott, and that is that's probably the sleeper I'm going to pick today. This is a team that started the season losing to Oklahoma and Memphis by a combined 110-3.
Yep.
And then they won 6 of their last 9 games. They thumped Louisiana by 20. They beat Texas State 77-31, my friend. And they did it all with a freshman quarterback, Jalen Rayner. He's back this season, and including they were also bringing back Jacquez Cross, their leading rusher, Corey Rucker, leading receiver, and second team all-conference tackle in Thomas. So they're all back. They brought in Timmy McClain from UCF as a quarterback. They brought in Reginald Harden from Benedict, and they brought in an intriguing player in quarterback wide receiver, Malik Hornsby from Texas State. Harden was an absolute stud at the D2 level for Benedict, averaging 24.9 yards per carry. I think they can get him involved in this high-powered Red Wolves offense. This is a team that's feast or famine, Scotty. They averaged 11 points per game in their losses and 45.8 points per game in their wins. They did not finish a game in the 20s all year, and I think this is a team that is going to make some noise, especially on offense. Another great over team. Give me the Arkansas State Red Wolves as my sleeper in the Sun Belt.
By the way, if you wanted a price on that, best price for Arkansas State is 18-1.
Okay. All right. I told you it was a real sleeper.
Yep.
All right. So just ready to move on to previews?
Sure. Let's do
it. Let's do it. We're not
Look
bad.
At that, though. 44 minutes.
We're not bad. Not bad at all.
Bad.
All right. So we've got, as we talked about up top, we've got 4 games on Saturday, and then we have 4 games involving top 25 teams next Thursday. So we're going to talk about those as well. And you're going to find one game conspicuously absent. Woo! It's moist preseason. Conspicuously absent from this list. I promise you, we'll get to them. So Scott, let's start off with Montana State minus 13.5 against New Mexico. Total on that game is 54.5. I'm going to put something bold out there for you, my friend. I'm going to say that the top tier, let's say the top 8 teams of SCS are better than 30% of FBS. Agree, disagree?
I'll disagree about 30%, but I'll go with like 15.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, one of those teams is Montana State. And you look at this game and you're like, wait a minute. Montana State, an FCS team, is on the road giving up 13 and a half points to New Mexico. How terrible is this New Mexico team? Scott, how terrible are they?
Well, their win total is 1.5. So probably not good. Just to ask, though, have you ever seen this before? An FCS school favored by 2 touchdowns on the road against an FBS team? I've never seen this before.
It may have happened. I certainly don't remember it.
Usually you get like somewhere between 3 and 7.
Yeah.
If they're going to be favored. 2 touchdowns is wild.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look up NDSU and those teams there for climbing.
I mean spread, of course. Of course, an FCS team has won by 2 touchdowns before against an FBS team.
No, I'm talking. Yeah, North Dakota State may have gone to some terrible team and been a 2-touchdown favorite, but I don't think so, man. That is really unusual. So,
yep.
My play on this game. Oh, by the way, Lobos returned 2 offensive starters, Scott, and neither one of them are on the offensive line. Defense is dreadful. There's nothing good to say about this Lobos team.
I got Bronco Mendenhall. If you like him as a coach, that's a positive, I guess. If
that's counts. True. That's true. Maybe make the defense a little bit better. I'm gonna play the under right here. This is a Montana State team that absolutely wants to run the ball down your throat. They averaged 7.28 yards per rush last season. That led all of FCS, 291 rushing yards per game, and that was number 2 in all of college football, in FCS as well. I think I think Montana State team probably covers this, but I think it's going to take. I think they're going to have to go and take it in small bites, going down the field via the run. That takes time. Clock keeps winding. I don't think New Mexico does anything on offense. This is going to be one-sided. I'll take the under 54.5. What do you got here?
Yeah, I'm just going to lay the wood here. You have kind of uncharted territory. I think that it's definitely, I don't want to say trappy, but it seems like they're kind of going 4-1. FBS team over here. They're at home. Well, what's not to like? Like, no, I think New Mexico gets killed. The argument that I have for New Mexico, by the way, the main question is if your win total is 1.5 and you're double-digit dogs at home to an FCS team, who the hell are you beating?
Who are you beating? Yeah.
Like, that's the problem at 1.5. This team might go winless. Like, they're supposed to be really bad. It's clearly a rebuilding year. Let's put it that way, even though this team's been irrelevant for about a decade. I'll go to Montana State. I think they'll be able to run the ball. Team overall has been a top-tier FCS team for a while. The loss to North Dakota State in overtime with that awful 2-point conversion call last year. So they were a very solid FCS school. I think they win this game by like 20. Maybe New Mexico hangs in there, but this team's going to be really bad. I understand people might be tempted by the FBS team at home. I think that it's pretty telling. It's 2 touchdowns. Give me the FCS team to roll.
Don't do it. Don't do it. I can't. When you see suspicious lines like that, they're usually there for a reason. I'm looking at the Lobos schedule. I'm trying to see where they're going to be favored.
They're going to be dogs in every game. They're getting 13.5 at home against Montana State. They're going to be dogs in every game.
Maybe Hawaii.
I mean, even Hawaii. We're going to talk about them in a second. At least they're favored by 40 in their game against an FCS school.
I don't know, buddy. I don't know where you get 2 wins out of that. I really don't.
I don't either.
We'll see what happens there. All right. So let's talk about another MAC school, and another Mountain West school. It's going to be Nevada, as they host SMU. SMU, baby, the newly minted ACC SMU team. SMU 26.5-point favorites. Nevada at home, as I mentioned. This line's we've seen a lot of movement. It peaked at 28, went down to 24.5. It's now 26.5. Most places. I like the over in this spot. I think that SMU will be up, and I don't think they're going to take their foot off the gas. And when they do, they've got a great quarterback in Kevin Jennings to come in and play. He's the guy that played the bowl game for him last year. Did a very nice job when Preston Stone was injured. He threw for 43 of 71 for 394 and 2 touchdowns the final 2 games of the year. That was the title game and the bowl game. And he also pretty good with the feet, 130 yards on 23 carries and a 5.65 yards per carry average. I think that Nevada probably won't do much until SMU sends in the second level of defenders. And then I look for just enough points to get this one over the total 55.5. What do you got here? You laying the chalk?
Yeah, but I do like the over as well. You mentioned that, once again, Nevada might not do much, at least early on, until the game's out of reach. SMU could, in theory, score like 45 points. That wouldn't totally shock anybody.
Oh,
and we
no.
know offensively they go up tempo. They have a lot of talent. They got a lot of guys back. They might struggle in the ACC making the jump, but luckily Nevada doesn't play for the ACC.
No,
This is a really bad team that is going to be in a rebuilding year, if that's what you want to call it. It's going to be rough for Nevada. I think SMU can name the score. If I had to guess, like 49-13, something like that, and they win this game by 30. So give me SMU in the over.
Okay. And we talked about this one a little bit. Hawaii at home, 39.5-point favorites. Scott, what kind of team would Hawaii be a 40-point favorite over? Oh, it's Delaware State. By the way, 56.5 is the total. I'll let you kick it off. What do you got for this one?
So, question. Have you ever heard of a college called Bowie College?
Yes, but I don't. Probably in basketball that somebody played in some tournament somewhere. But
okay, so David Bowie did not go there. But Delaware State lost to that team in football last year. They went 1-11 in their FCS schedule. So that might be why Hawaii is also favored by a ton. Line climb, though, because Delaware State had flight issues, and they flew down late to Hawaii. I believe the last group of guys flew down last night. Not a good spot. Hawaii, we know, is not going to be good this year, or they should be okay. We'll put it that way. Maybe they'll make a bowl game. Who knows? 6-6, probably the ceiling for this team. Maybe 7-5. They got a lot of talent offensively, though. They have their quarterback back, a lot of weapons. I like the over in this game. Hawaii never plays any defense. They might be able to score 58 points by themselves in this game. So give me the over. Hawaii, we know that they're going to try to score a bunch of points. They throw the ball around the parking lot. They might generate big plays. I think Delaware State can score in this game. I'm not picking Hawaii to win via shutout because I will never do so. So if Delaware State gives you like 7 or 14 points, you're in good shape for the total. But I think Hawaii could, in theory, score 60. So give me Hawaii with the over in this game, mostly the over.
Man, when I saw this line, I'm like, man, I've got to play Delaware State. There's no way.
And then you look at Delaware State and you're like, oh.
Yes. Then I looked at Delaware State. They played 2 FBS schools last year, Scott. They played Army and they played Miami of Ohio. They lost by a grand total of 119-20.
And Army sucked last year, by the way.
Yeah, well, they're 6-6, but yeah,
they. You know what I mean? They didn't make a bowl game for their standard. They were on.
Yeah, they had issues all season long. Hawaii, this is a team that did beat Air Force last year. They played decent ball in the Mountain West. They went 3-5. This Delaware State team is so bad, and you add the flight problems in there. I'm laying the wood, man. I'm laying 39.5. I can't believe I'm doing it, but I am. This is a horrible, horrible Delaware State team.
Didn't they score? Because I just feel like even in garbage time, Hawaii's defense will give up something.
I don't think they get to double digits.
Okay, I'm saying you might not even need points, but I'll give them 7. That's probably good enough. Yeah. You think Hawaii gets to 50?
I do. I don't think Delaware State can stop them. Western Carolina, North Carolina State. Western Carolina is traveling. They are a 33.5-point dog here to NC State. This is a Western Carolina team. They are a good FCS team. They are currently ranked 16th in the preseason poll. They lost 56-13 to Arkansas last year, Scott, but that's kind of misleading because the defense played really well. They gave up 105 yards and 36 carries, gave up just 274 on the road. However, they threw 3 picks and lost a fumble. North Carolina State has been known to play with their food a little bit in non-con play. They beat UConn last year 24-14. They did beat VMI 35-7, and this is a VMI team that was very similar to Western Carolina. But you know what? We got to take a dog somewhere, and this is going to be my dog. I think North Carolina State maybe takes a minute to get Grayson McCall integrated into the offense. And when you're laying that kind of wood, you just got to push or win one quarter. You just got to be in the ballpark for one quarter, and then it's hard to cover numbers like that. Give me the Catamounts plus 33.5.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing eye to eye in this.
D.R. Carter rejoices.
I'm taking the points too. NC State plays the week after.
Right. They got the Florida, right?
They play Tennessee in a neutral.
Tennessee. That's right. They got
that is a phenomenal look ahead spot because Tennessee right now is ranked number 15. So I don't think NC State cares either way. They're going to win the game. The point is with Tennessee on deck, they will probably call everybody off in the fourth quarter when they're up by 28. I think 28 is a pretty reasonable win margin by this team, maybe 24. But Tennessee on deck, that's a really bad spot to be laying basically 5 touchdowns in this game. I just think that they're going to win by 28 in this game.
And I also think there's a real possibility they pull starters early to keep them fresh for Tennessee.
With McCall's injury history, they should pull some guys. But
absolutely.
I mean, also in this game, I like the under. NC State's not a team that typically lights it up. Defensively, they're always good. VMI last year, that game landed 52. 61.5. That's a massive total for NC State when they might call off the dogs here. Give me the under in this game. Why is this in the 60s?
Yeah, we might be able to hit a first half over, but I definitely think it goes full game under. I think I'm with you there. Let's talk about those Missouri State, or Murray State, rather. Were the Racers? Yeah, the Racers going against Mizzou, traveling to Columbia. Mizzou, 47.5-point favorites. This is a bad Murray State team, Scotty. They're bringing in Jody Wright to coach. He was a former South Carolina tight ends coach. He played at Jacksonville State as a running back. He's never been a head coach. He's only been a position coach for 5 of his 22 years. He has spent time on the Alabama staff and the Mississippi State staff, spent time in the NFL, but he's inherited a team where the cupboard is bare, brother. They've got to do it without last year's starting quarterback, 7 of their top 10 receivers, and their 2 top tacklers on offense. They played 11 games last season, scored more than 17 points in just 4 of them, and they tried to use 3 quarterbacks. None of them were good. None of them completed more than 57% of their passes. They threw combined less than 2,000 yards, 14-11 TD to INT ratio. Running game sucks. The two main running backs combined for 710 yards. Just like you and me out there playing. Managed only 5 touchdowns on the ground.
Sounds like Iowa State.
Yeah, he really does. I'm loath to lay 47.5, but I'm doing it. This is a terrible Murray State team.
Yeah, Murray State played one FBS team last year. Do you want to guess how that went?
I looked this up. Tell me, I can't remember.
They played Louisville, if that helps.
Okay. No, tell me the score.
They lost 56-0.
Okay, there you go.
So I think Missouri wins this game comfortably. The question is, do I think Missouri's backups can score against this team?
Right.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, actually. So I am going to go with Missouri in this one. Murray State, I think, will finish with less than 10 points. I see them finishing with 7 as a ceiling here. Missouri can really name the score. Unlike NC State, there isn't a look-ahead spot. They play, I believe, Buffalo the week after. Who cares?
Yeah, they've got a week non-conf for
sure. They're just going to dominate. I think Missouri wins this game, potentially like 63-7. Like they might score 60 points, 50 to. It might be like Louisville the game, like 53-0. I'll go with Missouri to lay the points. I'm not going to bet it, but I'll lean Missouri.
I'm the same way. And it's just so funny. Like we were so anxious for college football to start. The first weeks here we go, and you've got minus 40, minus 50. Like, well, okay, so it's not the schedule we would have chosen, but it's what used to be known as week 0. Not especially a great slate of games. Of course, this Mizzou game is on next Thursday, so it is actually part of week 1. So speaking of next Thursday, Scott, Southern Utah traveling to play the Utes. I'm sorry, did you say Ute? Utah 37.5-point favorites, 52.5 is your number. Go ahead, you're up.
So Utah was our pick to win or at least they were my pick. You picked Utah too, right?
Yes.
To win the Big 12. So they play Baylor next week. Does that matter? Not really. You could argue that maybe that's a look-ahead spot, but I doubt it. These teams play each other all the time, or at least it feels that way because they're in the same state. So it feels like they play each other once every couple years or so. Do I think Utah cares enough? That's really the question, because we know Rising's in an injury history. Are they going to pull him early? I don't know. Is Southern Utah going to score? Like, Utah can kill this team. Yeah, like, if this game ended like 45-0, I don't think anybody would be surprised.
They played in 2022. They didn't play last year. They played in 2022. Utah won 73-7. They had 598 total yards versus 85 for Southern Utah.
And Rising only had 254, so they kind of did whatever they wanted. I'm going to lay it. I can't really pick you to win the conference if I don't expect you to kill Southern Utah by about 40 or more. Okay. I have to lean Utah here. Baylor, you could argue, is maybe a look-ahead spot. After last year, probably not, because Baylor kind of sucked last year. So I'll go with Utah to get the job done by probably 40+.
I'm going to go the other way. For the first time today, we're going to disagree. And again, not a strong play, not anything I'm going to be betting the house on. But this is a Southern Utah team that played decently against FBS competition last year. They lost by 3 to Arizona State. They lost by 25 to BYU. I know Utah's a little better than BYU, but hopefully the Southern Utah team is a little better on their own. I will take a very small lean and take the 37.5. So last one before the farm. Let's talk about Temple and Oklahoma. Oklahoma. Minus 42.5 are the Sooners. 59.5 is your total. Scott, I'm only playing this one way, and that is the over or over. This is an Owls team that is not good, and they are especially not good on defense. They give up 40.1 points per game last season to FBS schools, while Oklahoma averaged 54.4 points per game in their 3 non-conference games. I think Oklahoma hangs a 5-0 on them, and I think Temple does just enough. It may be late, but they're going to get there to get this one over the total. Thoughts?
I think I'm going to agree. The issue is Temple has nothing. This really might be the worst FBS team besides New Mexico.
Yeah.
They're going to be really, really bad. Oklahoma could score 60. We know Oklahoma in the past, I was mostly with Lincoln Riley, but still, they would bury these teams and score like 60.
No
and
mercy.
They'd be up 40 at halftime.
Yes.
Temple might be down by 6 touchdowns at half. This might just be a 21-0 first quarter. And at that point, you might see Temple players start crying. They might be, potentially looking into their degrees because they're not going to be going pro. I think for this one, I am going to go with the over as well. Oklahoma might lean to. They might win this by 60. But I do think Oklahoma is the much better team, obviously. Temple's going to be god-awful. This team might win less than 2 games. So give me Oklahoma to win and cover, but give me the over as well. I think Temple can score 7 or maybe 14 in garbage time.
Right.
But Oklahoma really can score 60. So give me Oklahoma in this game.
Yeah, it's very possible that Oklahoma gets there all by themselves. So, all right, buddy, that wraps it up. We only have one thing left to do. What would that be, Scott?
I believe we have some farm music to play.
We do have some farm, ladies and gentlemen. For the first time in 3 years?
I'm trying to remember if we did like one farm randomly. I don't think so.
Random farm.
Yeah, random farm.
This is it. If you had to take all your ducats, put it on one game only, and these just don't. For starters, don't do that. But if you had to, this is the play. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Bet the Farm. So excellent.
Mm-hmm. I missed it.
I'm
happy the cows survived for this long. We haven't really been feeding it.
It's a different cow.
It's a different cow. Oh, sorry. Okay.
It sounds the same.
Cow number 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, Scott. We're looking at the first game on the slate. We talked about all the other games except the very first one. It's Florida State minus 10.5 against Georgia Tech. Total on this one is 55.5. You want to do the big reveal?
Sure. We can split it. We're going to take the dog here. We're going to take Georgia Tech plus the 10.5. Florida State, we think, is going to be good this year, but last year they set the bar pretty high, and they lost a lot of guys. Now, we mentioned before we were not taking them to win the conference because they ended up getting Uyunglele, who was decent last year at Oregon State, but I think he's worse than Travis. We can agree on that.
Yes.
Lost Coleman in the receiving core. Defense, they lost a couple of key pieces. They brought in a lot of new faces, and I do think it's going to take some time to gel. Georgia Tech, though, was not that bad last year. Haynes King did a pretty good job at quarterback, and I think Georgia Tech is going to be improved. I think that a lot of people are looking at that team being, I'd say, underrated in the ACC. They should be a bowl team. It's in Ireland, so it's just a random neutral site game in a different country. That could get a bit weird. But I think 10.5 is too many. The line has moved in favor of Georgia Tech over the last couple of weeks. I think a big reason for that is expecting some regression from Florida State. I think a lot of people are going to be blindly betting them because of what happened last year. But when you lose that many key pieces, it might take a couple weeks to get going. Georgia Tech, though, we think solid. We think they're going to lose. They can maybe pull off the upset, but I think that Florida State is a bit too overvalued. Give us the dog to keep it close.
All right, very good. And by the way, we will have hats next week. Yeah. Scott is house sitting. He did not bring his hat with him, so I didn't want to make him feel bad and put my hat on. We will be bringing out the farm hats, especially if we don't win this one. We'll have to bring our farm hats out. So,
you want to add, though, for the
no, not really. I'm a big fan of Haynes King. Counted for 37 touchdowns. Jamal Haynes is the running back, went for over 1,000. They bring both of those guys back. They bring back 3 of their top 4 receivers and 4 offensive linemen. I think even if the defense doesn't do that great of a job, I think the offense is going to keep them in this one. So, yeah, I think we stayed within 10.5 on that game. So,
cool.
There you go. All right, guys, that wraps it up. I appreciate everybody stopping by. Don't forget to use the promo code Scott Squared or Scott2. I think that's going to get you 20% off any premium picks over there at winnersandwiners.com. One final word. I believe, Scott, the plan is to move this video to our new channel, which is going to be Winners and Winers YouTube college football. And we're going to segment out of our YouTube channels just to keep everything in one place. So you don't have to sort through XFL picks from 5 years ago. You don't have to, it's all going to be in one spot. We're going to have an NFL channel. We're going to have a college football channel, et cetera, et cetera. So be looking for that. We're going to put the link in the description, and we'll be talking about it on our videos as well. We'll be adding the link in there to make sure you guys can get to it. So appreciate everybody joining us live. Not great numbers today live, Scott, but you know what? It's the first day. And I teased it last week, so we were going to do it last week. We didn't. So I'm sure there was a lot of boy who cried wolf going on. They didn't believe we were actually going to be here this week. So we're going to be here every Friday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. And we love doing what we do. We love being back together. We're going to have a great time. Looking forward to a great season. Thank everybody for joining us. Thanks to Bob, the producer, who put together everything to make this look like a real show instead of the way Scott and I used to do it, to look like we were just doing it in each other's basement. So very nice. Nice background, Scott. Good job on
Thanks.
that.
Yeah, I'll fix it in post. It's fine.
All right. Everybody have a great weekend. Let's go out there and enjoy some college football, make some money. And Scott and I, next week, well, we're going to be heading back to school one more time. Take care. We'll see you then.